Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukeness Monster, joined again with SideQuester.
Wow, I totally jumped the. Thank you for the intro. Yes, I'm SideQuester. Hi, how's it going?
How's it going? So today's stream, we're just going to be doing a Black Series discussion on all of the PulseCon reveals, as well as some Ahsoka discussion as well, because we've got 2 episodes left, and there's a lot that happened in the last episode. So, real excited to talk about that. But
yeah.
Again, I know we do this at the beginning of every stream, but for anybody who doesn't know you, SideQuester, do you want to give a bit of a intro to everyone out there?
Yeah, thank you. I am SideQuester. I have a small YouTube channel where I post reviews, toy reviews and stuff. Try not to take myself too seriously. And I also, look, I have it ready this time. It's right here.
Fancy.
Wrote a novel. It's called Adventures in Unemployment. It's on Amazon. I'm super proud of it. It also doesn't take itself very seriously, but it's a fun little romp. And if you feel so inclined, it's available if you want to take a crack at it.
Yeah, so both of SideQuester's, his YouTube channel and the book are both available. Link in the description. Go check them out. We got to get SideQuester up to, was it 100 subs, 500 subs? 500 subs. I don't know. It's been a while.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm joking.
No, it has been a while because you're incredibly successful. It's okay to relish in that moment. You are almost at 11,000 subscribers.
It's true.
So yeah. I think I have to be at 1,000 before I can actually start doing anything of value with my channel. Okay. But yeah, well, subscribe. We'll get there. We'll get there eventually.
And of course, go check out SideQuester's book as well. It's a great read, and it is available on Amazon as well as like the Kindle store, I believe. And Amazon, it's hard book and paperback as well.
Also correct.
I gotta touch up on my book descriptions. But,
dude, that's all right. That's all right.
But yeah, go check it out. It's linked in the description. And of course, we're gonna go ahead and say hi to some of the people in the chat. We got Big Bendu.
Hello.
What's up, Lukeness? A lot to talk about with the pin. I don't even know what word that is. I'm not gonna lie to you.
With the pittance of reveals, I mean, not very many.
Okay, I need to get a Sathoris as well, apparently. But what's up, Big Bendu? Nice to see you in the chat. We've also got Mark Hauser.
Hello.
We've got Gen X, the entire Gen X, not just him. We've got the one and only Commander Cook. Can't stay, but enjoy yourselves. Nice to see you in the chat, Cook, as always. And of course, he says, go and become a channel member.
That's true.
You know, hitting that join button down below, it gets you super cool custom emojis you can only use on the Lukeness Monster channel, as well as cool clone name badges like Commander Cook here that I guess they get cooler the longer you're a member. So if you want to become a member, it helps out the channel a lot. Link in the description, of course, as well. Hit that join button. Well, we've also got Rob Star.
Hello, Rob Star.
We've got 80s Kids from the 90s.
Kid.
We've got Walter. Oh yeah, only 2 episodes of Ahsoka left. Oh, we got my boy Oliver from down the road. Oliver's a legend.
Down the road.
Yeah. We've also got Andrew. They're both Oliver and Andrew are roommates, but they're legends. So
awesome. Welcome, legend.
See, I'm saying hi. I've got you now. Don't worry. We got James.
Hello, James.
Thanks, Oliver. I appreciate it. 80s Kid says Hasbro just announced a new Mando figgy. Why do they want to release it already? So we'll definitely get into a reveal soon in a second. So I don't want to jump into it too quickly, but we got Phase 2 action review himself. What's up? We got Tingliest. Oh my gosh, Tingliest Lasagna. What's up, dude? Nice to see you in the chat. I love that name. That's awesome.
That is good. That's an
I feel like that's the name of like an ASMR channel. That's what that would be.
Yes, totally.
I do have custom emojis. Hit that join button down below. We got Thomas66.
Hello, Thomas.
80s Kid just uploaded a hilarious new video. Go check it out. 80s Kid from the 90s. Go check out his channel. We have all the live streams playing with the auto. Do you have like 2 phones and a TV going all at once? That's awesome. That's the real fans right there. Josh Jones says, looking forward to the show. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting into the discussion here. But yeah, do you want to go ahead and jump right into some of the pulse reveals?
All right. Yeah, let's do that. Do you want to do any well, I guess that's part of the news actually. So all right, here we go.
Alrighty.
Drop us in.
Let's do it. So, first up, Hasbro did announce their international exclusive archive line.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty interesting. First up is the Stormtrooper here.
Nice.
I'm not really sure what this archive line is about. We'll get into that in just a second. I want to go through all 4 of the archive figures in this wave before we talk about that too much. But I gotta say, I love the packaging for this though. Look, this is a really clean archive box.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really good. I'm loving how that one turned out.
Yeah, totally.
So, next up is X-Wing pilot Luke, which is interesting. This one is the first time they've ever done an archive re-release before. Now, this one is obviously international only, but it is the first time they've ever done a archive re-release. So,
is it?
I believe so, or not necessarily like re-release, but like a repack of an archive figure that's already been issued once.
I think wasn't Anakin released twice?
He was only released once.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
You're smarter than I am.
What can I say? But yeah, this one is one of the few figures that I think made kind of sense for an archive re-release, just because he's an older figure and he's not really on shelves regularly anymore. So,
although I don't understand why they wouldn't just re-release the Hoth speeder suit.
Yeah, I mean
that's a superior figure. So
yeah, well, I mean, I think the difference is like the black gloves and the non-poofy jacket, but yeah, the Hoth one is definitely much better. So, I think they just need to make a brand new X-Wing Luke altogether. That's a argument for a different time. We got a New Hope Darth Vader. This one's interesting.
Especially because of the later reveal.
Which again we'll get into in a little bit, but
I'm a little bit confused about this one. I don't know when things like this pop up, my conspiracy brain starts going, and I wonder if it's like, oh well, they made a bunch of them with the intention of putting them out for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Yeah, and they just had a bunch left over.
Yeah, they didn't sell, so they had a bunch left over, and they're like, all right, well, let's just throw them in archive packaging.
That's kind of my thought, but it's just weird because this body is obviously the worst body for Vader. You could have done Empire Strikes Back, which honestly is in much more desperate need of an archive release than the New Hope version.
Right.
And they did the New Hope, which
did they specify that this was a New Hope version?
It is, yeah. It is a New Hope. It does have the cloth that goes over the shoulder.
Oh, that's right. See, again, wow, I am off my game tonight.
You'll catch up. It's okay. But I mean, I think it's a good figure, and it's, again, I like the packaging for it, but it's just a weird choice for an archive, and I think this is one of the reasons why it is international exclusive. But moving on, another interesting choice, Bo-Katan.
Yeah, and this to me is, if it had come out 6 months ago, when on the heels of Mandalorian season 3, I would totally understand. It seems very out of place right now, unless she shows up at the end of Ahsoka. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't think she will, but you never know. I mean, I guess she might, but I honestly hope not.
I think they'll save that for the movie.
Yeah, I think they probably will too. We got Landspeeder Luke in the chat. What's up? Nice to see you in the chat.
Landspeeder Luke. How's the greater Los Angeles area treating you?
Have we ever proved that me and Landspeeder Luke aren't the same person? Because I believe there's a conspiracy going around that we're the same person.
I think. Well, I mean, you're based in England, and Landspeeder Luke says
Okay.
that he is in the Los Angeles area. So
Well, I'm
I
not
know.
saying that I'm Landspeeder Luke, but I'm just saying you've never seen me and Landspeeder Luke in the same stream at the same time. So
If that were to happen, would the universe collapse on itself?
I think it would. I think
Okay,
we
so
would.
then you are
It
the
would. It would be like a reality-altering event for sure.
maybe one of you is time displaced, Luke.
Oh, interesting.
One of you is like 20 years older.
Okay. But yeah, Bo-Katan, interesting.
Yeah.
Got the whole wave here. Again, European exclusive, which I think makes this a little bit. It makes a little bit more sense with these choices. I know Bo-Katan was one of the ones that I was really, really confused about. Just because, like, she came out like a year ago now, and she's relatively cheap on the aftermarket.
Right.
But I've got a ton of comments saying that like she's really hard to get in other countries besides the U.S.
Could very well be.
Now I don't know if those other countries don't have access to eBay or something like that, but I don't know. It's an interesting choice, but I understand them wanting to push it out with her popularity in Mando season 3.
Right.
But
yeah, it also. Oh, hey, plug.
I am doing the OOTB stream tomorrow, so if you're doing that, we will create a time warp paradox that will destroy all of YouTube.
Oh man. Well, now we all have to watch.
Go check it out tomorrow on the Out of Basements channel, 1 p.m. Eastern, or 1 p.m. Central. Time zones are weird.
Yeah, it also kind of sounds to me like maybe they had intended on them being released in the United States, and then nobody ordered them. None of the stores ordered them, and so they're like, "Oh well, we already have them in production, so we'll just put them up and sell them overseas."
Yeah, I don't know. I think even like just some of the choices, like the Stormtrooper, like the 40th Return of the Jedi figure just came out. You're telling me that figure isn't available internationally right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like obviously the Mandalorian packaging one isn't, but it's just a box, and you're not re-releasing it in that same box. So if you're looking for that specific figure, you have the what is it? The Return of the Jedi version. Right. You have the, I guess, the Gaming Greats Rocket Trooper, which you just remove the pauldron. That one is the same figure as well, minus the blaster. Yeah, right there. So I mean, it's an interesting choice for sure.
It is, and again, I have no insider knowledge of how the toy industry works, but what I've noticed with like companies like McFarlane, when they have situations like this, where they have a product that maybe they overproduced or that maybe didn't sell, a lot of times it seems like he just slaps them in a new package, puts them in a 2-pack, puts them with some other thing, or maybe when they're coming off the line, they get some different paint apps, and then it's like, oh hey, here's the glow-in-the-dark version or the line drawing version. Like maybe they just mass produced a bunch of Stormtroopers. Maybe they're buying them all from AliExpress and then repackaging them in archive boxes and then pocketing the money.
You think Hasbro themselves is buying the AliExpress knockoffs?
They're like, well, it's cheaper for us to get them from you than it is to make them, so we'll just
plot twist. The AliExpress figures are off the exact same assembly line as the normal Hasbro figures. You never know, it could be.
That would be interesting.
It's just some Hasbro worker in the factory just sliding in their kixes and their hard cases in like after hours. Anyway, though, yeah, let's move on from archive here. We have Balin. I was really excited for this one. He looks incredible.
I am stoked. He looks so cool. I have him pre-ordered, and he's actually the only figure that I pre-ordered from this new.
I didn't pre-order anything.
Well, you usually don't.
Mm-mm. I mean, I just hope to try to find it in store.
So, okay. Sidebar: what is the thought process behind that?
I mean, it's just one of those things where, I mean, at this point, mainline way figures like this, they're easy enough to find in stock and in store, and most of them go on clearance on GameStop. Not really Hasbro Pulse, but like a lot of those Walmart, Target, some of those they go on clearance, and so if it's a figure that I really want, I will try to buy it once it's in stock. But it doesn't really feel necessary to go out of my way to pre-order it if it's mainline. Now, if it's exclusive, I will definitely go out of my way to pre-order it because there's no guarantee you'll find it in store. Like, for example, Walmart exclusives like the Jesse or the Fives, I'll probably never find those figures in store, and so that it makes sense to pre-order those. But
so save this little clip.
Okay.
Come January, when you see that they pop up somewhere like in Indonesia or something, and you pay to have them overnighted to you.
I might have to do that. Yeah, we'll see.
Then you'll wish you would have pre-ordered them.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yes.
But interesting, they gave him the Malik blade, the really, really long blade.
Which I need to go back and watch the episode where he duels Ahsoka. What is that for? I don't
remember if he has the really long blade. It really threw me off when they showed off the photos. But it was one of those where I didn't really notice it in the show. So I mean, it could be completely accurate, and I just didn't notice it.
He seems to be taller, so maybe I just didn't notice it. Same thing, I didn't notice it either. But just remembering the power that he had swinging it around, I picture it in my mind being like a heavier blade. So maybe it is longer. Maybe it's not that long, but maybe it is a little longer, or maybe it ties into a scene that we haven't gotten yet.
It's true. That could be. Interesting.
She had the cape.
Yeah. I will say for the cape, I think a cape that would look so good on this is the soft goods cape from the Last Jedi Kylo Ren figure that came in like the Kylo Ren Deluxe set. That cape would look great on this guy.
Yeah, this is where it makes me wish that Hasbro sort of used situations like this to create a basic version and then say like a collector's version, kind of like with what they did with the Star Killer set, not with all the bells and whistles and extra figures, but if they had like a $35 Balin skull that had a couple of interchangeable hands, maybe the little map thing. Yeah. Maybe a map orb with the
lightsaber through it. That would be pretty cool.
And then the cloak, like then you would give people the option. This version ends up in stores, cost you $25. Extra $10 you can order from Hasbro Pulse or maybe fan channels and get sort of a collector version, and then that could also lead to, if they did the collector version that comes in a window box, and then they could do, if they wanted to go back to plastic free packaging, they could do that for the basic figure.
Yeah.
I don't know, just a thought. Hasbro, hire me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could agree. It would be nice to get the extra accessories for him. But, I mean, overall, he just looks incredible, though. So I'm really, really happy we're getting this figure. It was definitely one of the ones I was most excited for from the stream. So,
yep, I'm excited we're getting this figure, but not necessarily the next figure.
Look at the in-hand shot of this guy, too. He has, like, the green, like, oxidized armor, too. That looks so cool.
Yeah.
The paint on that, it looks great.
I'm excited to see where his story goes.
I am, too. And then next up is Shin. This is one that I was really excited for before she was announced. I don't know what they did to her face, but they did her dirty.
Yeah. I heard a lot of people. I read a lot of people in your comments for the videos that you made, which are doing incredibly well, by the way.
It's
Congratulations.
true. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. About them possibly doing an alternate head or doing fixing it before it comes out. I think it's
They're
too
not
far
gonna do
along.
that. Yeah, no, they're not going to do that.
The impression that I get is there's a lot of scenes with her in the show where her hair is kind of like wind swept, being blown back, and it sort of gives it volume. But if it's static, it should be kind of hugging her face a little more closely. And it just seems to me like they were trying to replicate that kind of
poof.
Yeah,
and I think the biggest problem with that is like it looks like there's like no paint in it at all, and they should have added some kind of like highlights in it to kind of give off the effective volume in it as well, which would have helped. But the fact that it's like there's no paint in it, it looks like a plastic helmet.
Yeah, it also it doesn't seem weird to you at all, her color palette.
Like I think the shoulder pads should definitely be like I distinctly remember seeing in the show like the metal shoulder pads, and it doesn't really give that effect on these shoulders, kind of like the Balin had on his chest piece. And I don't know if that's just the lighting or the photo or what, but it seems her color palette is almost a little greener than it should be.
Yeah, it almost seems like they. A lot of times this will happen with figures where they don't think that there's enough differentiation, and so they start taking some creative liberties, and then maybe sometimes they take it a little too far, or maybe the reference photos that they had were under certain types of light.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Hasbro had been working on these long before Ahsoka came out. And so they were just working with concept art images and behind the scenes photos. And so I think that's one of the negatives of having this many Ahsoka figures out as soon as possible, is that you really run into that problem of last minute changes or, concept art images not looking like the real show. And I think that definitely turned out on this figure. I think the biggest thing for me was that she's really known for her wide-eyed, just like death stare, and they didn't really if they could have captured that in the figure, it would have. I mean, that's every single shot we see her in. She's like, and like I feel like the figure without the death stare, it just doesn't look like the same character to me almost.
I will say, one of the things that Hasbro has going for them now with how they've sort of redesigned the components to their figures, it makes it a lot easier for them to go in and do. They could make alterations very easily. They could change the color scheme and do a new head and have an awesome brand new figure. With minimal changes to the tooling. It's just the head sculpt. Same thing with Balin. You could do different expressions, or you could do interchangeable hands if you wanted to. They've made it a lot easier for themselves because they've added all these different components. So I know we sort of all balked about it when it first happened, but when they made the price jump to $24.99, this is what you start getting. You start getting better quality figures, and once they've paid for the tooling, they can start possibly doing other versions, kind of like with what they did with the Star Killer, where they've got the different portraits. Once they have the base figure, they can go on from there. So maybe we'll see different versions of them down the line. Here's hoping.
Yeah. I'm hoping what they do is they do like a Balin and Shin 2-pack, or like a Sabine and Shin 2-pack, or something to that effect, where they kind of fix the errors that this figure had. and
Right.
maybe give some alternate hands or the cloak or something with it, and
Maybe a Sabine with a hole in her torso that you can stick the lightsaber through.
that would be like very scene specific.
You would buy it.
Oh, I would, yeah.
I would buy it. That'd be awesome.
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool on the shelf. So, but
All right. So what do we have next?
here, 1 second. 80s Kid from the 90s. Do you know what store and when the Ahsoka Clone Wars figure is coming? So Ahsoka Clone Wars is a mainline figure, so it'll be available anywhere you buy figures. So Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, all your fan channels like that, as well as your Walmart, Target, GameStop, any place that you really buy figures, it'll have it. And it should be coming before the end of the year, hopefully. So.
Yeah, there's a couple of people that actually have reviews up of it right now. So you're talking about the season 7?
I think he means the season like 3 through 5.
Oh, right. No, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. I'm not a Clone Wars aficionado, so
Yeah.
the second outfit, the one where she's got the 2 lightsabers, right?
Yep, the 2 green ones. Yeah. Yep. And then Landspeeder says, Lucas, have you been printing anything lately? Unfortunately, no. As you can see, I'm off at college actually, and so I'm not at home with the 3D printer, so I can't print as much as I'd like to. But
you can't just put it right.
It's so incredibly loud. Like people would riot. They'd knock on my door.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
We're trying to party.
Dude, tell me about it. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think there was some angles that they posed this figure where it looked all right, but there's other angles that I'm like, well, so, I mean, it's one of those where I feel like you have to have that like head tilted down. Like, I don't remember the name of the stare, but I know like the Wednesday stare. There's a specific name for it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, if you like do the head tilted down, it definitely helps with how this figure looks. But it's all about the angle. So next up, we have Force Effects Elite with Sabine, Ezra, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
I don't have any of these, so you have a couple of sabers, don't you?
I have 2 of. No, I have 3 of like the original Force Effects sabers.
Okay.
They're not the Elite versions. So it doesn't have like the removable blade. It doesn't have like all the special like flash on clash and like blade effects. But I do have 1 Elite, and that is the Emperor Palpatine, or I guess Darth Sidious one.
Nice.
That one I actually got on GameStop. They had a sale. I got it for like $90.
Very cool.
I remember, but
do the blades come out of the like the one that you have, the Sidious one?
Yeah, they are removable blades for those ones.
Nice.
But I will say, I know I see so many people just like dogging on the Force FX Elite, and not like Black Series fans or anything like that, but specifically like lightsaber people. They'll be like, why would you ever get a Force FX whenever you could get a NeoPixel?
Mm-hmm.
Like NeoPixels are so much better. Like, yeah, but they also cost $500, you know?
Right.
And I will like die on the hill that for the price range that these are in, it's a $250 saber, that Force FX Elite are really, really good sabers for the price that they're charging.
Nice.
I mean, it's got pretty much everything that you'd want from a NeoPixel, but a little less quality. You know, obviously it's not as smooth swing, not as accurate with like the saber fonts and all that kind of stuff, but
right.
For the most part it's a pretty dang good saber. That's a spoiler there. I didn't know you only had 1 photo of the saber, but that's okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I did capture everything on the fly, but I was also watching your live reaction, so sometimes I would get distracted because you were having such a good time watching these reviews.
It's no worries. But I will say this one part of this that I thought was really cool is the entire like back half of the saber. It's all like the rubber grip.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat when they were kind of showing it off, and it's. I mean, they seem pretty solid. I if I were to get a saber, it would probably be either like an Episode 3 Anakin or Return of the Jedi Luke saber, something like that.
Mhm.
But no, I mean, if you're a fan of Ezra Bridger, this will be neat
Yeah.
for you.
This is interesting. This is not really, I guess, this specific saber, but it's just this Ezra saber in general.
Mhm.
I see a lot of people saying like, "Oh, Sabine did the little mod to the saber with like the little emitter part because it looks different than it did in Rebels." And I see a bunch of people saying like it's no longer Ezra's saber and like and different stuff like that. And specifically with how the emitter is different from Rebels. Do you think that this is a case of like Mandalorian Darksaber versus Clone Wars Darksaber, where like the Clone Wars one is like a square, where the Mando one is a nice curved hilt, almost like it's a rounded effect, like where it's just kind of like the translation from animated to realistic?
Yeah. I mean, I think that definitely. I mean, I'm trying to remember what the Darksaber looked like in animated form.
It was very, very like
kind of blocky, right?
Like blocky, like a textbook here.
Okay.
So if you need to learn Java, I got you set. But
just in the same way as the characters look different.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one of the things that when we get to talking about Ahsoka, I think is interesting. Seeing the translation from animated to live action, there are some things that work really well and some things that don't. One of the things that I've noticed with Ahsoka is they've tried to replicate the way their eyes looked.
Like the eyes, yes.
And it's freaky.
Yeah, Ezra's like bright blue eyes. Why just not give him normal blue eyes? Why did they give him like neon glowing blue eyes?
Because that's how it was in the cartoon, and I think that
in the cartoon, Count Dooku looked like I don't even know what to call him. Like his head was like a banana almost. Like so, I don't know.
I'm never gonna unsee that now.
You're welcome. Anyway, I want to address a few comments. Post-its in the background. This is a smiley face my roommate made out of Post-it notes. So,
just giving good vibes all day.
Yeah, it's cool. I figured it was a really cool background for the stream. So
it is.
Any additional fan films coming? I hope to do another one in the future. I will say I loved making Hunted. I mean, it took like 3 years to make total, believe it or not, but it was just such a pain to make with what I did, because I tried to like film, edit, act all at the same time, and it was hard trying to act in it and be the cameraman at the same time, because you can't film yourself, and I'm trying to like direct some of my friends who were filming to do what I wanted them to do, and they just didn't have the same vision that I had, and so it was just kind of a pain, because I just kind of left with the footage that I had, which I think I turned into an amazing fan film, but it wasn't really what my initial vision was. And so I think if I were to do another fan film, I would just film and direct it, and I wouldn't actually act in it.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
Second one would hopefully have a bigger budget, and I already have an outline for it.
Okay. I do remember you sending me that, actually. Yeah.
I mean, not trying to interject myself into your project if you're interested.
But yeah, I know the first one had a budget of a whopping $0, pretty much. So.
Well, this next one should have at least 10.
I don't know what I'm getting with $10, but it's gonna really make a difference.
A case of water to give to your talent.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Cool Bro says, sorry for not commenting on the channel in a while. I've been busy with my freshman year of high school. Dude, freshman year of high school is always a great year. I loved my freshman year of high school. So have fun, dude. No worries. Enjoy yourself.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. The Captain Rex helmet.
If there was ever a role play item that I would buy that wasn't a Luke saber, it might be this. This is really cool looking.
Yeah.
I dig it. What do you think?
I absolutely love it, and I see a bunch of people hating on it, and it's a lot of those clone nitpickers where they're like, oh my gosh, they used the animated visor rather than the realistic episode 2 visor. Who cares? It looks awesome. You know, like, because the slight difference is the little curve here on the visor.
Mm.
On the realistic one, it's a more dramatic curve, where the animated, it's pretty much a sharp angle.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right where like it changes directions. And in the Ahsoka show, it's more of that curved realistic looking one, whereas in the one Hasbro made here is the sharper animated look.
I think it looks cool.
And I know some people were complaining about the animated rangefinder as well, and it's just one of those, like, it looks incredible, who cares? And plus, I think, don't get me wrong, I understand people love their realistic adaptations of stuff, but the animated sharper angles is just way more iconic to Rex's character. Don't get me wrong, I think the Ahsoka costume department put a lot of hard work into translating his helmet to a realistic helmet. Now, obviously, they didn't put on the costume right with the background or the backwards bicep plates. We don't talk about that, though. But it's just one of those things. It's one of those things where the sharper visor angle, I feel like it's iconic to Rex's character, and I think it makes sense for this helmet.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Again, it's not really my. I don't usually buy role playing things because I like things that make logistical sense. Mm-hmm. And if I put that helmet on and ran around like, I mean, I'm a big guy, that would not look good. So
yeah,
so I'll let somebody else buy it. I'll just keep buying the figures.
I saw that the plain phase white helmet was on sale at Target for $60.
I heard, and mine doesn't carry any of that stuff. But
mine will get one like once a year. But
and maybe if you swing by there, maybe they'll have it.
It's been a while. I probably need to be honest.
But I did capitalize on those clearances. I'll show you later.
Okay.
You can see it. You can see it in the background.
Okay. But yeah, I think that the Rex helmet is great. I do have a serious question though. Do you think that this was originally going to be Ahsoka packaging, or do you think it was like Clone Wars packaging, and then they kind of just swapped it to Ahsoka last minute? Because that's kind of the impression that I have.
Yeah, I could see that. I wonder if maybe they had it lined up, kind of to coincide with season 7. I don't know. Well, I guess that's too far gone. But
yeah,
I could see that. I could see them saying, "Well, let's hold off and put it out for Ahsoka." But it's one of those things where, like, you knew they were going to make it eventually, so maybe they just had it in the pipeline to get it produced, and then they didn't decide on where it was going to land as far as the packaging until later.
Well, so my only thing is that Lucasfilm and Disney are pretty strict about their spoiler policy, right. And I know Hasbro obviously does get what they can to make the stuff they need to make, but something like an entire Captain Rex helmet is a huge spoiler for Ahsoka. Do you think that Lucasfilm would have given them the details to do that, or I think this is one where Rex showed up last week or 2 weeks ago in Ahsoka. This is a digital rendering. All the box images are digital renderings. Do you think they just threw that together? They just changed the saturation of the yellow Clone Wars box to blue. They changed the color of it last minute and threw it in Ahsoka packaging. Changed the number on the back.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. I think when you had your interview with Eric, I seem to remember him saying that they basically pitch what they want to make to Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm tells them whether or not they can, or Lucasfilm comes to them with like a list. These are all the characters that you can make, or product that you can make. So even if they didn't tell them that that Rex was going to be in episode 4 of Ahsoka, maybe they were like, oh well, you can make a Rex product, wink wink, and then
like last minute said, hey, throw that in Ahsoka packaging,
because with this being digital renders of the actual packaged item, you could change that in a couple of hours and create it. Like, it's not like they had the finished boxed item sitting on their little display. So I would say it could be either way.
So no, the Rex helmet is not $60. I believe it's what, 125, 130. I don't think we've seen an official price yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they bumped it up to 150, to be honest.
Because of the rangefinder.
Well, just because of all the new, because like the entire like front of the helmet is brand new sculpting and everything.
True.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they bumped up the price, but it should be between 125, 130, maybe 150. We'll see. But the $60 clone helmets were the just plain phase 2 white ones, and that is just like a Target clearance that they're having right now. So, and so it just depends if your store has any of those in stock. 2023 was supposed to be Hasbro's year of Clone Wars. I'm sure the model was far along in the pipeline. Yeah, I could agree with that. But for a year of Clone Wars, you think they would have done a brand new Rex mold or a re-release of Rex in some way, shape, or form?
I feel like they maybe changed horses midstream this year.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of things that happened with Hasbro and with Lucasfilm. One of mentioning the Clone Wars or the Phase 1 helmet being on clearance. I've noticed that a lot at Target, at GameStop, at even on Amazon, where things will go up. They will be brand new, and within a month or two, they're half off.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on. I feel like, and some of the videos that I watch on YouTube, some of them tend to be a little more on the conspiratorial side. That's even a word. And
I think
they talk about how, like what we've seen with Ollie's and everything, how the sales have dropped drastically in the last few years of product. So what I think is happening is kind of, we talked about this when Nerdzoic announced all those re-releases, is they want only wins. They want their heavy hitters, and they need to get back up as far as their sales. They need to get collectors back. So I think that all the stuff that they're doing, they're trying to change gears from what they had planned earlier this year, and I think that's why a lot of the things that were pipelined, we talked about, you talked about Ki-Adi-Mundi, some of the other stuff that has been just kind of on hold for over a year. I think that they've set that stuff on the back burner, and they're pushing out like the Ahsoka product and everything, because again, I think what they're realizing is that your generation is now of the age that you're buying these things not to play with, but to have as adult collectibles. And so that's why, I mean, I would have thought that they would have done twice as many Return of the Jedi figures for the 40th anniversary, including the retro line. I thought that they would have done 2 or 3 waves of the retro line, because there was like like 50 some odd figures, I think, when Return of the Jedi came out originally. So like the little retro guys that they just take the old figure, they scan it, and then they're done. They don't even have to sculpt it. It baffles me that they didn't. The only reason that I can think of is that they're shifting gears and they're realizing that people like me are buying less and less, but your generation are now their key demographic. And so even though we didn't see a lot of Clone Wars stuff for the 20th anniversary, I think that in the next couple years we'll start seeing that a lot more. Anyway, and maybe to your point about the Rex helmet, maybe they geared it to be a Clone Wars thing, but then once they found out that he was going to be in Ahsoka, they just sort of pivoted really quickly, so that they can have that tie-in to something more immediate, but then still fulfilling the desires of the fans, which are that you finally get a Rex helmet.
So, interesting question. So now that we saw both Phase 1 and Phase 2 Rex in live action, do you think we're going to be getting a Phase 1 and or re-release of Phase 2 or new Phase 2 in Ahsoka packaging?
As far as a Black Series figure?
Yeah.
Yes. I would not be surprised at all. I think that with them sort of doing the revamp to the 2020 Phase 2 clone, or Phase 1, Phase 2 clone, which with what you pointed out, it has that overlay now. I think that kind of like what we were talking about with the Shin Hati, is they're designing the figures not just for its initial release. They're designing it thinking ahead to what can we reuse and come out with down the line. And I think that because the only modifications to Rex's armor is the helmet, right? Does he have? Oh, he has some changes to the chest plate, doesn't he?
Not the chest plate, but he does have a new pauldron.
Okay.
But they already have that Phase 1 helmet with Fordo. Fordo's helmet is exactly the same as Rex's.
Okay.
Just different paint. So theoretically,
doesn't his have the fin though? Or are you talking about the Phase 1? Phase 1,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
If you mean Phase 2, yeah, there are a few different pieces for Phase 2 they'd have to remake.
But what I'm saying, or where I'm going with this, is that with the new Phase 2 clone that they've come out with the overlays, they could use almost that entire body.
Yeah.
Swap out the helmet, make a Phase 1, and then any modifications that they need to make to the chest piece, and now it's just an overlay, so they can redesign that, and then but the arms, the legs, and everything are all the same. If they did a soft goods comma, then they're set, and they can make both. Or,
I actually already have a video in the works for this. Kind of looking at some of the older Black Series figures and how like the Commander Cody has the unique shoulder pads and the unique backpack, and even like some of the bicep armors. Same with something like Commander Gree, who has the unique torso mold. A lot of those things, like it's so easy to make a new torso now and new shoulder pads now that they're all separate pieces, that a lot of these older figures I think we could see re-releases of, considering that like they're just so easy to redo one little piece, or you could just do like an overlay over like a bicep or a gauntlet or something like that, where it's easier to do.
And if you've ever looked at any of the G.I. Joe classified figures, a lot of them have the same base buck, and they just have like different gun belts, different things that slide up over the bicep and stuff like that. Different like if they have gloves, they just give them the hand, and then they add like the little the wrist covering for the glove. So yeah, I very much see that. I think that clone body, they designed it so that they could make like the end all clone body, and then they'll now go in and they'll start doing. I mean, man, I would buy so many Codys, and just because it's such a cool figure. When Revenge of the Sith came out, I had a ton, like every version of Cody that they came out with. I bought like 5 of them, just because it was such a cool design. But then, yeah, like things like he has his little jetpack and everything. You wouldn't even need to remold anything drastic. They just do the chest overlay, and then you have the little backpack that plugs into it. And yeah, it's kind of like it's like an evergreen design. It seems like they might be taking a note from companies like Mattel with the Masters of the Universe line, where they basically designed them. They've got a handful of bucks, and then with swapping parts, they make 20 or 30 figures from that, just with different heads.
Yeah. So, anyway, we to move on to some pipeline reveals.
All right. I don't understand any single one of the Phase 1 Clone Trooper I understand. That's it.
Yeah. Wait 1 second. If you want to start off with some of your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. The only thing I can think of with them doing a new Darth Vader for New Hope, I wonder if they're finally going to do a New Hope version that has the butterfly joints and fix the legs so that they don't have the double joint. It's the only figure. Like I ended up, based on your recommendation, I ended up getting the Return of the Jedi Vader, but I wasn't going to because of the legs. The only reason why I decided it is because you told me that you would stop being my friend if I didn't get it, and the skirt piece sort of covers up the joints, so you can't really tell, and it's black on black, so it's easier to hide. But they just, I mean, you're just make that figure, give them the seam or the pinless joints, and then you'll be done. Like then they can make kind of like what we were talking about with Clone Trooper. They can make 100 different Vaders if they just fix the legs. So that makes sense to me that they're going to do that. The Mandalorian, I have no idea where they're going with this, other than now that they have the new mold, the new sculpt that they're coming out with. Are they just going to come out with Mandalorian from every planet that he's ever been on? Now he's a little more dusty. Now he's covered in snow. Now he's wet. Now they're just going to do all that. Now he has his helmet come off. Now it doesn't. Actually, a version where he's like just gotten out of the living waters, where he's all like kind of like shimmery, and that would be kind of neat. Yeah. Now that I think of it, maybe I do want that. Phase 1 Clone Trooper, I love that design. I think it's super cool, and that goes back to what we were talking about. All they have to do is swap the head. I'm still not sold. They still haven't quite gotten how to do a helmeted head, Clone Trooper head, without having the chin stick out. But I'll probably pick up that one. The Mandalorian Night Owl, is that supposed to be from season 7?
No, I believe that's like a Mando season 3, just like background Mandalorian, pretty much. Gotcha. Just an army builder. I mean that's cool. I'd probably not something I would pick up, but I can see the interest in that. Cool Bro wants to know if he should play football or basketball. Oh, football all the way. Football's awesome. I mean, I think you should do marching band, but I might be a little biased. Anyway,
what do you think about this?
Okay, so my thing is, they before they officially announced these 4, they kind of went on a thing about specifically wanting to get these characters back in the line, and they didn't say anything about new molds. So when they said Darth Vader New Hope, they didn't specifically say a new Darth Vader New Hope. So I was kind of under the impression that they just meant they wanted a Darth Vader New Hope re-released in that Galaxy packaging, in that mural artwork. is kind of the impression I got from it, and it's just going to be the exact same one that's getting archived.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that. I thought that it was going to be all brand new. Well, then that baffles me, because if they're talking about the Mandalorian, they've already shown.
Yeah, and so that's when they, with the Mandalorian, they specifically said this is Mandalorian season 3 appearance, which the armor is exactly the same. The only thing that I can think that's different is maybe some of the accessories, and so they repack him with like a different blaster or some different accessories, or different, like maybe without the lightsaber, who knows? And they just throw him in the Mandalorian packaging rather than Book of Boba Fett. But I think the reason for doing this is that you have this brand new Mandalorian mold that's in Boba Fett packaging rather than Mando packaging, and they specifically wanted it in the Mando packaging.
Yeah,
but the figure is not even out yet. It comes out in spring of 2024, and so it just, like, why are we getting a re-release of the exact same figure? If it's a build-up pack, if it's a repaint, makes sense, but if it's just a straight repack, it doesn't make any sense to me.
And it also, I mean, just across the board, like kind of in line with what you're saying, the Vader, the Mandalorian, we have them out, and we are getting them soon. So I don't understand why they would have those be their pipeline reveals.
Yeah,
like the pipeline, I would think, should be, let's get people excited about, the future of this product line. Why not? Say episode 3, Obi-Wan and Anakin, and even if it's just the screenshot, you would get people a lot more excited than, oh, hey, we're bringing out these figures that
we already have versions of.
Right. Yeah, this one puzzled me. I felt the collective groan across the internet when they announced this. But
well, my only theory is that since this was PulseCon, it's kind of their big yearly event. They wanted to cater to all fans. They got the Darth Vader for OT fans. You got Mando for the new content, and you got the clone for the prequel stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's my only theory. But even with the Phase 1 clone, they specifically said that it's on the new body, but they didn't clarify if it was the 2020 body or the updated 2023 body. They've never mentioned that the 2020. They've never referred to the newer updated body as its own body. They've only ever referred to it as like new shoulder pads or updated articulation, stuff like that. They've never referred to it as its own body. And so
I would think that moving forward, all the clones will be based on the 2023 body.
And you would think so.
Sure.
But they didn't specifically clarify that in the stream is my only thing. And the fact that this could possibly be a Vader repack or a Mando repack, what stops them from doing a Phase 1 clone repack too?
Right. Well, they're just setting it up so you have questions to ask them when you do the next fan stream.
Apparently. So I think for the Phase 1 clone, like it desperately does need that 2023 update with the removable helmet with the grunt head underneath. It needs the new shoulder pads, new chest, and then of course the updated knees. It would be a great improvement.
I'm wondering if maybe they went a little shorter on the hair sculpt, that maybe it would allow the head to sit down a little lower. That's the only, like, I'm not planning on getting the Phase 2 clone coming out, because you can see his chin underneath. It's a little bit different for Fives. I still haven't opened him yet, but at least he's got the goatee, so it kind of blocks it a little. But
I don't. So the only clone I have the problem with the chin sticking out is the Captain Rex figure. All of the newer updated clones, I don't have that problem.
Oh.
So I think you just got to jam it on there.
Yeah, and then like, what was the Jango Fett?
Yeah.
I don't know when the first version came out. 2015, I think. 14.
I want to say 2016. in Redbox. Yeah.
In the red box.
Mhm.
Yeah, they you had to push the head so far down that you could actually start seeing his nose push through the visor, like it would make a little bump. And then when you took the helmet off, he had smash nose.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I know my Rex over in. I mean, I got him 2019, and so he's definitely got some of that smash nose effect since then for sure. Phantom says, random note, really enjoyed your live chat. Super chill. Love the discussion and a great way to spend a Saturday night. I agree.
Well,
Thank
you very much.
I appreciate it. Did you want to jump into maybe some really, really quick recent pickups before we get into Ahsoka?
Sure. Do you have anything?
I don't have anything, no.
Well, I did score. I as soon as I saw on Instagram that they had these figures on clearance, I went to my Target the next day and I grabbed the Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane 2-pack, and they only had two. Well, when I got there, they had two boxes. One of them was sealed, and that's the one I bought. The other one was somebody had ripped it open and just pulled everything out, took the figures and the accessories, and then just left the innards all scattered across the toy aisle. So I was only able to secure one. I would have liked to have another Cobb Vanth just so I could maybe do some customizing. I think I have the Boba Fett armor one somewhere. But then I did get the Vader.
Here, wait 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Other way. Go.
Oh, hi.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're fine, dude. We're all having fun here. Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. And then I also, again, based on your recommendation, I got me a Final Duel Luke.
Let's go.
And I did. I haven't opened them yet, but I did get the Vader. It's almost the one I got. The package is like pristine on it, right? And I kind of want to open it, but I also you said that they had issues with the helmet and getting it to sit right, and it looks so pretty, just like this. I'm thinking I might just leave it in the package.
Honestly, it looks like a really nice package there. I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, and if you are all inclined, there is a toy retailer out of Texas called Papa Loco. It's not sponsored, but the guy's awesome, and he always does right by me. And he ships his stuff collector friendly. So he has lots of sales, and I think if you hit like $79, he gives you free shipping. But yeah, if you order from him, say hi to Vince from SideQuester.
Awesome.
So that's all I have. And should I open them?
I'm honestly, that's a tough one. I think he looks great in the package there, so I don't know. Yeah,
I think maybe what I'll do is wait and see if another one pops up. So, a little story for you. The other night, I couldn't sleep, and so I was like, I just popped out my tablet and started looking around on Amazon, and very briefly, they had one pop up that was a warehouse deal, so the package was damaged. But and I would have faith in buying one of those because it's not plastic-free packaging, so you know right away if it's the correct item or not.
Yeah.
But it was like $17.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I had it in my cart, and I was like jamming trying to get to checkout, and it sold out right away.
That's too bad.
I did score the Malgus though, which is at the end of our slideshow.
I still need to get Malgus as well. Oh, do you want me to go to that next slide or?
Oh well, I mean it's at the very end, so I don't know if you can jump right to it, but
Did you want to go through some of those other slides there too, or?
If we had time, I loaded it so that we had plenty of things to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I think we might pass on that for this stream. But any other recent pickups? I want to know your thoughts on that Luke, because that Luke is like one of my favorite figures of the year so far.
It's pretty fantastic, and where's my light cruiser? All right. So not the light cruiser, the Luke Grogu set. I got this guy, and then I added the little belt on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of dig it because this is like my post Return of the Jedi Luke for whatever adventures that I perceive he went on. So Heir to the Empire, Dark Empire, all the stuff that's in Legends now. But I love that design. It's something a little different. With the belt, it's kind of cool. But man, this one, you are right. The head sculpt on it, or it's the Light Cruiser Luke head sculpt, but the hair,
yeah,
is so much better. Man, see, like you're lucky you didn't live in the '80s, because that was the hair, the hairstyle.
I could rock it.
You could rock it, but I always like figures that have more of the windswept look than the weird side part and swoosh bangs across. It was a very 80s thing.
Yeah.
But we're not in the 80s anymore. But yeah, I dig it. Yeah, you were right. I will concede the point.
I think I think my headset cut out there. What did you say?
You were right.
Okay. Clip it. No. How's the face sculpt?
It's good. So do I have? Oh, I did. This was my custom. A little backdrop here. This was the custom that I made from the Light Cruiser Luke, of just cutting off the little tunic thing. So the head sculpt. Oh man, I'm not getting in focus here. The head sculpt is exactly the same. The flesh tone is exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. It's just the hair, pretty much.
It's just the hair, but the hair makes the difference. I mean, I do like the Light Cruiser Luke. He does look that way in the show, so he does have a little swoop, but kind of the windswept look. It just makes for a better dynamic looking figure. So
yeah. I will say I do have a full Return of the Jedi Luke comparison video out there. If you want to see like a close up of all the face sculpts compared to each other, that is a great way to get a comparison of those. But I know I compare like the Endor Luke, the Jabba's Palace like Tatooine Luke, as well as the Light Cruiser and 40th. So overall, it's a great comparison. But.
Yeah. But that's all I have.
Alrighty. Do you want to jump into some Ahsoka talk? We got about 20 minutes. 15, 20. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about episode 5. Okay. And then I want to give you my thoughts about episode 6 before I hear yours. Okay, so this is the official spoiler warning. If you have not seen the last 2 episodes of Ahsoka, episode 5 and episode 6, this is your one and only spoiler warning. Go watch that. Come back and watch the end of this video later.
Really quick, before you do that, Kyle Arking is asking a question about the Light Cruiser Luke. He is kind of hard to find, but Hasbro has an eBay store. They actually have them up right now. It's $24.99 with free shipping. So if you are in need of a Light Cruiser Luke, search for it on eBay.
There you go.
Sorry, go ahead. Emma or Ahsoka.
Okay, so final warning: leave if you haven't seen it. But jumping right into it, you want my thoughts on episode 5 first.
Correct.
I loved it. It was awesome. I think that was the best thing they could have done with Anakin there without making it weird. He wasn't really a Force ghost, but he wasn't actually there either. So that kind of both of our theories were wrong there with that. He was kind of a forced apparition, vision, something. But I know the theory that I had was that he was actually there with the world between worlds somehow, and obviously that just didn't end up becoming true. But we still got all of those cool Anakin scenes that I wanted with him not being that Force ghost there. So I absolutely loved it. I loved the flashbacks. I loved seeing Phase 1 Rex and the live action Ahsoka and those Clone Wars scenes. I loved the Siege of Mandalore there. But I think my favorite part was just seeing the Sith eyes Anakin with like the flashes of Vader in there. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I need a Sith Eyes Anakin figure with the red lightsaber in my life right now.
That would be awesome. Which pipeline reveal? That would have been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like at this point they have to do a new Anakin. Like they cannot re-release that old crappy archive version and just pretend like it's good. Like after, like if he didn't show up in Ahsoka, okay, I get it. But after the scenes in Ahsoka there, we desperately need a new Anakin mold. And it would be such a shame if we didn't get one. And I'm kind of thinking that this is what Hasbro's excuse is to kind of to like push it towards our executives. Like, hey, we need an new Anakin mold because he's in Ahsoka, so it relates to new media. I think it's the perfect way for them to push a new Anakin mold. Because I know the theory that I've heard, kind of like the rumor. Take it with a grain of salt because I don't know how true it is. But I've pretty much heard that Hasbro, the execs, don't want to do a new Anakin Obi-Wan mold from Revenge of the Sith because they don't think prequels sells very well. They don't think prequel movie sells very well. And so they again, that's just the theory. But I think if they can tie it to new media, like a new Anakin here, it's a good way of them. A good way for them to get these Revenge of the Sith figures out. The same way they did the 501st Commander Oppo figure in that flashback scene where they threw it in Kenobi packaging. You know,
I completely agree with you that maybe they wouldn't want to spend the money on tooling if they didn't think that it would sell. But Lucasfilm is steering the ship with the media and with the toys. Mm-hmm. So I would think that if they didn't want there to be any new like Anakin product or Episode 3 product, they wouldn't have allowed Anakin to be in the show.
Well, no, so I think that Hasbro has pretty much creative rights over their own like previous figures. So if they want to do, for example, the Moma Madan, the Hammerhead figure, right. That's not Lucasfilm pushing that figure. That's Hasbro pushing some of those older figures. But right. I think it's Lucasfilm kind of saying like, hey, we have Ahsoka coming out in Mando season 3, Book of Boba Fett, all the new media stuff. It's Hasbro pushing the new media that kind of gets in the way of what Hasbro wants to do, or Lucasfilm pushing the new media that kind of gets in the way of what Hasbro wants to do. And I think it was Hasbro pushing not like the designers at Hasbro pushing the remakes of Anakin and Obi-Wan, and the execs kind of turning it down because it wasn't really relevant.
That could be very possible. I think what it comes down to, again, I only have a cursory knowledge of how this stuff works, but from my understanding, if there's a new toy to be made, Lucasfilm fronts the money for the design and tooling of that figure.
Okay, so I did not know that. That could be true.
If they can't justify that cost, they won't spend it. And that's why, like when we were talking about the Indiana Jones figures. They have a brand new piece of media coming out with Dial of Destiny, and they had the budget, the publicity budget. I don't know exactly how it shakes out, but there was money that was available to create new product, and that's why almost all of the Indiana Jones figures have unique sculpts, even though most of them could pretty much be the same with maybe a couple of changes, the overlays and head sculpts. They like the folds in the jacket pieces, in the pants, the wrinkles and everything. They were all unique, and that's what happens when a company throws money at it. Right now, Star Wars seems to be on shakier ground, so without a full-fledged media event like a feature film, something that they know that they're gonna see hundreds of millions of dollars returned on, without having that, they were probably a little more reluctant to spend the money on something with a lot of new tooling. So yeah, I don't know. I would say that they could also be biding their time to get closer to the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. But with
I mean, I just feel at this point with I don't know if Hasbro knew Anakin was going to be in Ahsoka or not. Regardless, I think now that we've seen him in Ahsoka, you can't not put him in that Ahsoka packaging with a new mold.
And you could do the new mold. You could also use as an interchangeable head that you already have. They could use the Force Ghost.
Okay, I will say the Force Ghost Anakin head is significantly larger than the two heads that came with the archive version, so it wouldn't swap very well, unfortunately.
No, what I'm saying is, like, if they did a brand new mold.
Oh, a brand new one. Okay, yeah, you're right.
They could use that head and just have it be like, oh, hey, look, here's Smiley Anakin, and then here's Angry Anakin, and then there's Sith Eyes Anakin. Yeah, those are coming. They have to be coming, because I think that in the past the idea was that prequels don't sell. There's a bad taste in people's mouths left from the prequel trilogy from when it came out. There was way too much product. People were not all completely satisfied when the movies were in the theaters. So it did have that lasting effect. But kind of tying back to what I was saying before, I think they're changing gears and realizing that they shouldn't be making the stuff for me. They should be making it for you. And you want prequel stuff. You want Clone Wars stuff. And
I mean, I want OT stuff too, but it's one of those things where I already have but I have most of the OT figures that I would want. And unless if they plan on making new sculpts for these, like for example, I would love a new sculpt of Farm Boy Luke or a New Hope Han. But unless they're going to go out of their way to make new sculpts for those, I don't need a re-release of one of those ones. I'd much rather spend my money on prequel stuff, which I don't have on the shelf already.
Right. Totally agree.
But we kind of went a little off track there.
That's okay. That's what this is all about.
But
man.
what was your thoughts on episode 5?
Episode 5 I thought was fantastic. I very much like that they went. We've seen sort of the ethereal world between worlds, Mortis arc, those types of things. Yoda going on his weird trip at the end. I
still hate that Clone Wars arc.
But we've never seen it in live action, and what I loved about it is if you give your character stakes, it makes them more interesting. And so what we realize, like if we go back and watch the first few episodes of Ahsoka, one of the criticisms that I heard is that Rosario Dawson was playing it kind of emotionless, like she was kind of flat, and that could just be directing. It could just be like not really being able to wrap your head around sitting on the volume and not having like things to really interact with. It could also be a choice. And if the choice that we ended up seeing in episode 5 is that she's scared, she's not really sure if she has a purpose anymore. She's not really sure if she even wants to live anymore. And they explored that, and she comes out of it on the other side with this invigorated desire to be a Jedi, to be a teacher, and to stop this problem that is ahead of her, which is Thrawn.
Yeah.
That being said, unless you had anything else to add, that will segue me into my thoughts about episode 6 that I want to talk about.
I have one thing.
Go for it.
And it is going back to the Black Series figure side of things. Now that we saw episode 5, we saw obviously the return of Anakin, but we saw the flashback to Siege of Mandalore. And looking at the rumored re-release list, we don't just have an Archive Anakin re-release, but we have a Season 7 Ahsoka, which we just saw. We also have a Death Watch Loyalist, which we saw, as well as the Mandalorian, which we also saw. So all of these characters. Now, it's interesting that they don't have the 332nd on here as one of the re-releases, because we did see the 332nd in the background.
Right.
But do you think that this has to do with Ahsoka, or is it just coincidental?
See, that kind of goes back to my thoughts on when Lucasfilm is pitching ideas, or when they're pitched ideas and they greenlight certain project or certain product. I think that could be their reasoning. Like, maybe they don't tell Hasbro what's going on, but they're like, oh, go ahead and make this figure, go ahead and make this product. And they give them the little wink and the nudge, but they don't tell them what it's exactly for.
Yeah.
And then by the time the product is down the pipeline, getting ready to actually be produced, then we see it in the media, and then maybe that's when they finalize the packaging and stuff.
I mean, my only thing though is, why do that Archive Anakin re-release? Don't you think that Lucasfilm would want Hasbro to do a brand new mold for Anakin?
I would.
So I don't know. That's my only thing.
They have that Anakin at the ready. So if they're trying to get it out for the holiday season 2023, it makes sense that they would just use what they had, because they could just put the tools in the machine and start producing it. It might not be ideal, but they know they'll sell. They always sell.
Or maybe their thought is, this figure goes for $100. We're already planning on making a new one. Let's just get as much money that we can out of the people that'll spend $100 on the old one, and then make a new one later down the line and get their money twice.
Possibly.
I could 100% see that being the possibility. But
what would be interesting to me is, if it wasn't the Episode 3 Anakin, what if it was the Clone Wars Anakin, the Target one? And maybe there's just...
I mean, either... I hope it's the Target one, because that one, after seeing him in that Episode 5 as well, it would make a lot more sense for him to get that re-release over the Archive one.
And I just... The only thing with that is, I wonder what the limitations are of them being able to produce that right away. They might have to wait a certain amount of time before they can re-release it, because it was an exclusive. I don't know, like there might be something in the contracts with Target or whatever.
Unless if they just re-release it as a Target exclusive again.
Well, that would be cool.
Just different packaging, or same packaging
with the Ahsoka.
Yeah,
would be awesome. See, now you're getting me excited for things that don't exist. That's not fair. Okay, can I rant about episode 6?
Go right into it. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. So
It's so funny because there's been so many times that I have texted or almost texted you and been like, oh, and then I'm like, no, save it for the stream. Just don't talk about it at all. So what we were talking about with the rising action of Ahsoka coming back to life and wanting to live, wanting to teach, wanting to stop Thrawn. We go to this episode, which slams on the brakes and does not further that process at all. Mm-hmm. We go to Peridia. Like, I get it. It's very fan servicey. This was the first episode that made me realize how much I don't know about Rebels lore, and how bye 80s kid.
Bye 80s kid.
How there are things that are happening that are significant to you, and people that grew up with Rebels that I don't connect with. When Sabine finally met up with Ezra, I was just kind of like,
oh really? Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure. See, no. I'm not saying it to be offensive to you. This is one of the things that I want to discuss because it's obviously a huge deal for you, but it's not something that really registered as very significant or important to me. Like, I get it that it's supposed to be, but it just wasn't because I'm not as in love with those characters as you are. But leading up to that, I thought the Thrawn reveal was I'm actually going back through listening to the Heir to the Empire book, and the way that Thrawn is established in the book is completely different. I know that there were some changes that were made for how he carries himself in Rebels, but he's intimidating and ruthless, and everyone that comes across him is afraid to talk to him because they don't want to say the wrong thing. And part of it, they reference part of it is because everyone's afraid that he'll react like Vader does, which is just to kill you. But he proves himself to be the tactician first, and he's scary. He's scary because you don't know which way he's going to go. And in the show, when he kind of saunters up, I got like kindly old grandpa vibes. I'm sorry, I did. Where he just very soft spoken, and I know he's supposed to be older and everything, but he just didn't seem scary to me, and he didn't seem very like authoritative. Like one of the first things they talk about, they're like, oh, we have to get all the cargo onto the ship, which people are speculating are supplies. People are speculating that maybe it's fallen soldiers that he wants to bring back to our galaxy or this galaxy. But they're like, oh, it's going to take 3 days. I would get the impression that Thrawn would be like, well, I've actually calculated how long it would take to do this, and you could probably do it in a day and a half if you're not being lazy. And they would be like, oh, okay. But instead, he's like, oh, okay, I guess 3 days is a good amount of time. And so anyway, I just, that was my my first impressions of Thrawn. And then there's a thing about the way that show is the way this episode was structured. It very much seems to me that they're like, okay, we need to have the Thrawn entrance. We need to have Sabine somehow on the search to find Ezra. So she has to get out somehow. And then she has to meet up with Ezra. Those are the 3 beats that they really need to cover. And then they're like, okay, well, we need to give Baylan and Shin something to do. So they start with those things, and they work their way back to justifying the reasons for it instead of starting at a certain point and working towards it. And that very much shows, like, the moment when Ezra meets Sabine, it's like it's her arc. It's the thing that she's been looking for this entire time, and the process of her getting there from the episode. First of all, they put her in a jail cell with a huge window that she could crawl out of, but instead she tries to use the Force to open the locked door. That doesn't make sense. So then they're like, okay, well, we had you in prison. We think you're a threat, but we're going to let you go so that we can hunt you down later.
I'll get to that.
Okay. Sure, they want to draw out Ezra. I get it. But then she gets on her little wolf thing, and she's riding around. She gets immediately attacked by 5 people, and takes them out. And the little wolf thing runs away. And the next time we see her, she's walking, and the wolf is like, like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she turns around and she's like, no, you bailed on me, you coward. Oh, okay, I forgive you. Another, like, there's just it's that there's the opportunity for conflict on any level, and then it immediately gets resolved, and that's just it's just a weak moment. So then
What's up, Darth Educator? Nice to see you in the chat.
So then she ends up stumbling across the one creature that happens to have a Rebels logo on his chest, and knows how to lead her to Ezra. And then they have the big reveal, and it's that moment, and he's like, I have so many questions. How did you get here? When can we go home? And she's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's exactly what you should be talking about. You should be figuring out how to leave. Like, no, I just want to enjoy this moment. Like, no, that doesn't make sense. So
yeah.
Anyway, and then I am interested. Hey, FaZe is back. I am interested in knowing what the deal is with Balin, and I don't know if maybe Shin is starting to have like a shaky, her faith is shaken in his abilities or his motivations. So that to me is interesting. I would much rather focus on what is going on there. They're more compelling characters than what seems to be happening with Sabine and Ezra. And then we get to the point where they're like, okay, Ahsoka's on her way. And Thrawn is like, okay, cool, I want to learn everything about her. And then the episode ends. And I get, there's that little bit of a cliffhanger. But just from where we left it at the end of episode 5, where you're like, whoa, my mind is blown. And we have this like resurgence of our motivation and everything. Like, we see where this episode or where the show is going. And then it just kind of like, it slams on the brakes and makes a left turn. And that it's not to the point where I'd be like, oh, I'm never going to watch the show again. It's not like She-Hulk. But like that little thing. Yeah. But it definitely, like, it seemed like the end of episode 5 was the end of one story. And then this is sort of the beginning of another story arc, and it just seemed very strange to me. So okay, I know we're running long, but what are your thoughts?
So as far as the end of a story arc and beginning of another, I don't see that at all. I kind of see the whole episode 5 thing as just kind of like a detour, like almost like a side mission to the main arc. Okay. And the finding Ezra and finding Thrawn is the main overall objective of the Ahsoka show so far. And so the whole like episode 5 kind of Anakin thing was just kind of like a detour.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my thought there. As far as episode 6, I absolutely loved episode 6.
Good. I'm not saying I'm right at all, dude. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I'll discuss some of your points there. But as far as like the do we do the Thrawn reveal first, or okay? I mean, yeah, let's do the Thrawn reveal first. I thought that was bone chilling whenever she looks out the window and you just see the Star Destroyer come over the horizon. That was incredibly like just chills. Awesome. Okay. Super cool scene. Like and then you get the scene there with him walking through the hall of like the damaged, I don't know if they're like zombie stormtroopers. That's kind of the theory going around.
The closed caption calls them night troopers, but I don't know.
But I mean, it's cool to see his Star Destroyer there with all of the damage. You can see that they repaired it with the resources they have. Same with all the stormtrooper armor taped up. It's just really cool because you think about it. All these people just got transported to a random galaxy with no resources, and they're getting by with what they have. And it's cool to see what they're able to do with that. But like the Thrawn reveal, with him walking down the hallway again, chills. Now I will say I do see that old grumpy old man vibe you got, and that's just because of the actor himself. That is the same voice actor as Rebels,
right?
And I loved that aspect of it. I know you kind of said he was soft spoken and calm, but that is exactly how Thrawn is in Rebels. Now obviously that is different to the books. But as far as like Rebels Thrawn, this was like pretty much 1-for-1 Rebels Thrawn.
Okay.
Now, Thrawn is not chubby fat like Thrawn was he's eaten well the last 5 years, that's for sure. Probably hogging all the food that the stormtroopers aren't getting, but
the Night Sisters are trying to fatten them up so we'll stay.
Yeah. But like I absolutely loved Thrawn in it, and I'm excited to see what comes of him in the future episodes. So
the comment section is on fire right now.
I haven't been reading it.
So the rumor, Daniel C56, the rumor is that, well, what I heard is that all of the cargo containers that they are supposed to be loading up are actually fallen soldiers,
yeah,
or dead bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And which, if the Night Sisters are making a zombie army for Thrawn, I don't know why they wouldn't just be like and bring them back. But maybe that's what he's talking about with them using their dark magic once again. Maybe they had soldiers that they just had lying in wait. I mean, I guess what else are they going to do? And then when the time came where they're like, oh, we need to reanimate them so that they can fight a battle, they would be ready for it. The other thing, now that you're talking about the Night Trooper reveal, I sort of walked back my initial response because I found out who played the character, but the Enoch character, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I don't like, what is with the 80s mannequin faceplate?
I thought it was super, super intimidating.
But okay, so then that I'm not saying that I'm right. It just
it caught me off guard, that's for sure. But I still think it looks it's almost like the masks from like Squid Games almost, where they're like the humanoid masks.
Yeah.
But it's intimidating to me to see it on a stormtrooper. Now, I don't necessarily agree with the random gold face though. But I mean, I understand that they're working with the materials they got. You see the gold stuff on the armor as well as like the Star Destroyer. So I understand that that's the metal they're working with. But it's just a weird combination to go with the white armor.
Here's what I would have loved to see. Instead of that, I would have loved to see a stormtrooper helmet, right? with a big crack going across the front of the visor, and have that filled in gold with one of the lenses in gold, so it looks like an olive watch. And then we see them. We see that dude eventually. When he takes it off, he got mangled in some fight, and the whatever magic or whatever they use to repair it, you see them cover up that injury or the damage to the armor, but he still has that mark on him. Like, to me, that would be more intimidating, and it would look like a like an eye patch, like he had seen some action. So anyway, that's what I would have gone with. They opted for Eyes Wide Shut, which is it's just weird.
Okay, so I was saying, moving on to the Ezra reveal there. I thought that was perfect too. I really loved the Sabine and the weird dog wolf stuff too. I thought it was really funny. As far as Star Wars comedy goes, I thought it was funny, and I mean, it definitely gave me Star Wars joke vibes, and I was completely fine with it because I enjoyed seeing it, and it made sense to me. So I definitely want one in the Black Series now for Sabine to ride.
That'd be cool. That's why I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about it, because it means something totally different to you than it does to me, and it's neat that I get to have this experience with you, because it's the same way that I felt when the prequels came out and I was your age, and I was so excited for them, and then just to have people be like, I don't get it. And so I'm not looking at it from the standpoint of saying like, oh no, this is stupid, you're wrong. Like, I'm saying it from the standpoint of I don't have that same emotional attachment, but I'm fascinated by the conversation about it. I do think it's the lenses, the contact lenses that they use are a little weird. Like that, I don't know. They could have gone a different route.
I know in the trailer for Ahsoka, Hera had like really bright, I don't know if they're green or blue eyes, and they actually ended up dulling them down a little bit due to complaints.
So maybe.
But yeah, Ezra, the bright blue eyes for Ezra, I understand that's what it is in the TV show, but it doesn't work for live action very well.
Right.
But as far as the Sabine meeting Ezra, perfect. I could not have asked for it any better. I think the long hair, beard Ezra is exactly what I would expect Ezra to look like after 5 years. And I think that the first thing that he said there, he said, I knew I could count on you, right? This was specifically incredible to me just as a Rebels fan, because the last thing that Ezra says to Sabine is, I'm counting on you. And then the ship goes off into light space or whatever, light speed, and he's gone.
Did you tear up?
No.
You wouldn't admit it even if you.
I wouldn't admit it, but no, it was perfect, and I think their little like hug there was nice. I will say, I know you were upset about the like, oh, I don't want to talk about that right now. I just want to enjoy this moment. And I 100% I agree, that makes zero sense logistically, but that is exactly what Sabine's character is. She is incredibly stubborn, and that is exactly what her character would do.
Okay. Well, then I concede the point.
And then as far as the Balin and Shin, it's interesting. You kind of see. You kind of saw a side of Shin in this episode that you haven't really seen before. Whereas in before, she's been pretty like hatred, Sith kind of, I want to kill Sabine. But in this one, she was like, she didn't seem like a bad guy in this episode, which is interesting.
And I think that there's a lot going on with her that you kind of have to speculate on. She's not saying it a lot of things, but a lot of the stuff with her looks and kind of, we were made the joke earlier about her being like, oh, she hasn't been doing that as much. She hasn't been as like crazy eyed as much. And I'm wondering if what she started as is like just a cold-blooded killer, thinking that she was doing it for the cause. And now she's starting to wonder if the cause that she's had all this faith in isn't what she thought it was. Maybe it's not the right way to go. And like, you see it like every time. I made the joke about her constantly being like, bitches. Every time she sees them. But it could be that she has this thought in her mind that those are people that we don't interact with, and then now we're interacting with them. Maybe there's something wrong with the plan. I wouldn't be surprised if she turns on Balin.
I think it's going to be the opposite way. Not opposite way like that. I think it's going to be Balin and Shin are going to be turning on Thrawn and the Morgan is what I think it is. Because, well, for starters, there was a subtle line there where the witches are like, it reeks of Jedi. Not referring to Sabine, they were referring to Balin. What I bet money on that.
Really? See,
100% I bet money on that, because Sabine's not force sensitive, so I don't think that the Jedi that they were referring to, I think they're referring to Balin, and Balin has definitely been giving me like gray Jedi vibes.
But then why would they bother securing and imprisoning Sabine?
Well, because
why wouldn't they have just immediately gone on the attack of Balin if they thought he was a threat?
Because I think it's for a plot twist kind of thing. Like it's to foreshadow without giving anything away. I don't think I don't think it makes sense for the plot. I think it's to be like, oh, we didn't the Jedi that we sensed was you, not Sabine, as kind of just like we foreshadowed it.
If I'm not disagreeing with you. I think if you are right, then that kind of goes along with what I was saying about where they start with the end point and then they try to plug in how to make it make sense. If that's, I would not be surprised if that's the route that they went, but if that happens, it wouldn't make sense that they didn't go on the attack immediately if they saw him as a threat. I wonder, though, now that you brought it up about them turning on Morgan and Thrawn, what if they end up teaming up with Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine?
I don't necessarily see that happening.
Okay.
The way that I see Balin and Shin is they talked about it a little bit, but they almost said that the Jedi, the Sith, they're all just flawed. And Balin was pretty much saying that he wants to start over, create his own, like, quote unquote order. And I think that's the real reason that they were working with Morgan to begin with. They don't care about Thrawn. I think they want to be in that new galaxy to start that new order. And
so they want to stay.
I think that's what I got from it, is they want to stay there. They specifically wanted to be in that new place to start over, because there was a line that Shin said. She said, like, we're starting over here or something like that, to specifically referring to that location.
Right.
And so that's kind of the thought that I got from it. And so, like, I know it kind of felt like Thrawn was kind of double crossing them by like, oh, we'll leave them. We don't need them. If they stay, who cares? But the only reason they wanted to help get Thrawn in the first place is because they're staying. Is kind of what I got from it.
See, I love getting your perspective on it. That's also why, which I don't know if we get to it, if people are interested, maybe you can let us know. But since I started watching Ahsoka, I went back and I started listening to the audiobooks of Heir to the Empire and the original Thrawn trilogy. And Lucas hasn't read them yet, so I was thinking about just going through and kind of doing a recap of the chapters as we go through our live streams, to have a little segment where we talk about that, because I would love to discuss how Thrawn is in that storyline. Where, I mean, there's a part where I just read where he intercepts a video transmission, and based on that, he figures out exactly where two different ships are headed and who's on the ships. Because he's on the hunt for Luke, Han, and Leia, and so he's like, just from this video clip, and he references his connection to art and being able to study people's art to figure out their motivations. The first scene that we see him in, their ship is being attacked, and he takes on 4 frigates with his one Star Destroyer and his squadron of TIE fighters, and ends up taking out all 4 ships, just because he's like, I know what this guy's going to do. The person that's commanding the attack, I know what he's going to do, and I know how to counter it.
Yeah.
And so he's this crazy tactician. So that's why.
You really got to sit down and watch like seasons 3 and 4 of Rebels, because that's where Thrawn comes in.
Yes, sir.
And I know one scene is they're on Ryloth,
okay.
and pretty much the Imperials have kind of like raided Hera's home there on Ryloth, and there's. I'm sorry.
I said you're popular.
Yeah, I was getting a phone call. There's a scene where Hera kind of like goes undercover as like a Rylothian peasant, okay. And she's trying to steal a Kalikora is what it's called, but basically it's like a little wooden statue thing, which is passed through families, like through generations. She got it from her father, and it's passed down through the family, and Thrawn catches her stealing it. And, she throws on her fake Rylothian accent and just like, oh, I'm just trying to, sell it, But Thrawn with his knowledge is like, well, this is a Kalikora. It's worthless to anyone who's outside of the family. So knowing I'm in the Syndulla home, you must be Hera Syndulla. And so it's one of those things where like Thrawn is very, very subtle in Rebels. And so he's very, very subtle in this show too, which I've noticed. Like I know he said specifically he wants to know everything about Ahsoka, especially like her master, which he's gonna find out Anakin and or Vader was Ahsoka's master, and he's gonna use that against her, like with some psychological warfare. I guarantee it.
And I hope that happens. I mean, yeah, I totally see that happening. I hope it does. And if all those things come to pass, then it will make me recontextualize this episode. But just seeing it from week to week, and not having the payoff at the end, there was a lot of things about it where I was like, oh, like why did you make that choice?
Honestly, I thought the pacing was perfect for this. I understand kind of leaving Ahsoka out of this episode for the most part, and I think that this episode was a building blocks episode. I think the next 2 episodes are going to be the big hitter episodes. You're going to have Ahsoka intercepting Thrawn there in this new galaxy, but I think this. Sorry, getting another phone call. I think this is really where like interesting things happen. It's one of those where you got to question all of these characters, Ahsoka, all the rebels. We don't know anything about their characters after this, so they could theoretically die at any point. Same with Thrawn. But for me personally, the hope is that Thrawn is going to be the big bad. That's the rumor. He's going to be the big bad of the movie coming out.
Right.
And so theoretically, Thrawn has to escape and go back to the main galaxy.
Right.
So Ahsoka and it's pretty much traveling all the way to this one to meet Thrawn there are Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra going to get stranded in this new galaxy too? Are they going to find a way out? There's a lot of questions here that I'm excited to see answered.
There's a couple of comments. The Watcher is saying that Balin is possibly looking for the Void. I wonder if is that a World Between Worlds reference? That's what I thought. I thought he's looking for that because they can jump anywhere and sort of restart things.
So I believe the Void is the Mortis arc reference. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's looking for the Void. I think he's just looking for a new place to start his kind of like Jedi Order, quote unquote.
No, that'd be interesting too. I wonder if maybe he wants to stay, and then Shin is like, "I don't want to be stuck here. This place is dumb."
Well, so the interesting thing is, you've seen the TV show, the rumors of the new one coming out. I don't remember the name of it.
Your Star Wars show, Acolyte?
No, it's the other one, not the Acolyte. It takes place.
Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew. The rumor is that Skeleton Crew takes place in this new galaxy.
Interesting.
So we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be Force users or if they're going to be smugglers, mercenaries, whatever. Kids, for all I know. Like we don't really know, but that's the rumor. So it'll be interesting to see them explore that. And there is one more point that I think is interesting to think about. I read the Aftermath novels.
Okay.
And it pretty much goes into like a deep dive of the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the First Order is created in the unknown regions of the galaxy.
Okay.
Pretty much, the remnants of the Empire, they leave, and the name of the officer is Officer Sloan, is the creator of the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was in this they keep referring it to as the unknown regions. And so I'm thinking maybe this is the adaptation of kind of, they're doing it with Thrawn instead of Officer Sloan. But it was pretty much Thrawn coming back. It's not going to be heir to the Empire, but it's going to be the rise of the First Order. Whatever, like him coming back, I think he's going to win. He comes back, and for the most part, he's going to dominate. And what he started here is going to turn into the First Order.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean that. Oh man, I just had this crazy idea. Bear with me for a second. I would love for the cliffhanger to be that they attack Thrawn. They can't stop the Chimera from connecting to the hyperspace ring. Mm-hmm. It jets off, and then Balin, Shin, Ezra, Ahsoka, and Sabine are stuck on Peridia. Mm-hmm. But Ahsoka has her Jedi cruiser. Mm-hmm. And she starts looking for habitable planets. And on the nav computer, all of the planets that we know of come up. So on this galaxy, they're like, Tatooine? What's that all about? And they go to this galaxy's version of Tatooine, and maybe it relaunches everything that we know about Star Wars, where they could have her interacting with young Anakin. They could have her.
I hate that idea.
Why?
I don't know. That's weird.
Because it would be too much of a mind trip.
Yeah, it's too meta almost.
I mean, it would give them the option to have the Legends storylines be recanonized in a way, and also the Disney content, the sequel trilogy, and all the shows. It would allow them to exist also. Yeah. And maybe the journey is them trying to find a way back, so that if we ever get season 2 of Ahsoka, if the writer's strike ends, then maybe the second season is their journey back. By the time they get there, they've set in motion a lot of things that exist in our version of Star Wars, and then they get back to the original galaxy, and now Thrawn has taken over, and it becomes the Heir to the Empire movie, like where they have to go up against him. Anyway,
interesting.
You've already told me how you feel about my idea.
Yeah.
You're entitled to your point or to your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that their best bet would be just trying to tie Star Wars, trying to tie the new TV shows to the Disney trilogy.
Right.
I think that's their best bet. They kind of started doing it in Mando with like you had Moff Gideon experimenting with midichlorians. Everybody thought like, oh, he's trying to bring back Palpatine. And they completely changed this like last minute, and I thought this was a really, really stupid idea because it went nowhere. Because Moff Gideon's like, oh, I wanted Force clones myself, but they all immediately get killed off, and who cares, you know?
But one of the things, I don't know if we talked about this, but was it Moff Gideon?
Or was it a clone? We did talk about this. Or was it a clone of Moff Gideon?
Because he didn't have the mustache.
He didn't have the mustache, yeah.
Maybe he was a fake Gideon. Or
I
maybe
think, and I like that at a standpoint of Moff Gideon's not dead, because I love Moff Gideon and I don't think he should be dead. But that's just a cheap, like, oh, we're going to kill off Moff Gideon, but not really. You know, that's just...
It's like when
killing people off,
not
killing
and then
off.
didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. I'm hopeful for the last 2 episodes. I would think that they're going to gear up to do something really epic. Seeing what they did with, I thought episode 3 was really neat because of the space battle. I thought episode 4 was really neat because of all the duels, and I thought episode 5 was really neat because of the thematic elements. But I just the episode 6 threw me for a little bit of a loop, but I'm still hopeful that they'll bring it home. So
yeah. Alrighty. Well, is there any closing thoughts you would like to share?
Nope. Other than just, as always, this is awesome, man. This is like, I love this, especially when there's things that we disagree on, because I love getting your perspective on it, and a lot of times you end up proving me wrong, and I like that that learning process. So so thank you. And,
yeah, of course. Thank you for joining the stream.
And enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever you go do.
Yep. Of course, SideQuester's channel is linked in the description, as well as his book. Go check both of them out. Like I said, linked in the description. And that is going to go ahead and wrap up this stream. If you guys did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe, maybe consider hitting that share button, and I'll see y'all in the next one.